Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again, and today we're going to have an Edge of Eternities deck. Now, as you watch this video, I'm on holiday, not on my PC or anything else, so the videos for the rest of this week, the next 3 or 4, will be ones I pre-recorded that go up. If I get a chance before I go on holiday, I'll try and get another Edge of Eternities one done, but they will start again next week, so bear with me. But today, I had time to do this one today, so we decided to knock in Ragost, Deft, Gastronaut, there you go. A Lobster citizen for red and a white for a 2/2. And it says, artifacts you control are foods in addition to other types and have 2. Sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. Standard food thing. But Ragost likes to throw food at people, because then it deals 3 damage to each opponent when he throws something at them when he gets upset as a chef. And then at the beginning of our end step, if we gain, at the beginning of each end step, sorry, if we gained life this turn, we get to untap Ragost. Yeah, fun one. A red-white deck that cares about foods. We can do this. This is a bit of a laugh. So here we go. Here's what today's deck looks like. So to start with, we have Hangerback Walker, because when this dies, it creates artifact creatures for us, which then become foods, which we can then use to throw at people, which is fine. Because we do want to gain life at the beginning of each turn, we've got, well, not Esper Sentinel, but we've got otherwise, sorry, wrong card. We like this one just for the extra card draw. But Ocelot Pride, we can just sit there, first strike something, gain some life at the end of each end step, and untap Ragost if we need to. Soul's Attendant lets us gain the life anyway, as does Soul Warden, so we do get lots of ways of untapping Ragost. Then we've got a little bit of fun. Arabella Abandoned Doll is an artifact, so technically is a food, but when she attacks, we get to deal X damage to each opponent and gain X life, where X is the number of creatures we control, power 2 or less. Did like Arabella, did a whole deck on her back in the day at Duskmourn. You can go and find it here on the channel if you want to look at it. Araba's Mir from Assassin's Creed also makes an appearance, because, you know, or whenever another non-token historic permanent enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, you gain 1 life. Yep, historic, definitely historic. Yep, okay, historic. Yeah, okay, we'll definitely get some life damage going. That's fine. Charming Scoundrel just gives us a treasure, so we can turn that into an artifact as well. That's a food, or we can have a rummage or a wicked roll token if we need it. Generous Plunderer gives us a treasure each turn, which becomes a food, so that's nice. We know the damage it does. Loyal Apprentice, as long as we've got Ragost in play, gives us a Thopter, which is an artifact, which becomes a food. So yeah, everything kind of does this. Mir Smith, same thing, gets a 1/1 colours mirror artifact creature token, so food. But Reckless Fireweed is kind of key in this deck, because we are producing so many artifacts. This should chuck around a lot of 1 damage to each opponent when we get those artifacts hitting the play. From there, Academy Manufacturer is a no-brainer in this deck, as you can imagine. And then Anim Pakal, the 1000th Moon. Whenever you attack with 1 or more non-gnome creatures, you get to put a counter on them and get that many gnome artifact creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. Now, that does mean they're foods, which means you can, if one's going to get blocked by something bigger, as long as Ragost is in play and not got Summoning Sickness, you can go pay 1, sack that gnome, and deal 3 damage to each opponent. So yeah, and it keeps going. Chief of the Foundry cuts the cost of our pumps our artifact creatures up, Discerning Financer just gives us treasures, which we can use as food, and Foundry Inspector makes all artifact spells cost less. Gadrick, the Crown Scourge, is just a bit of fun. Have to have a big dragon in some way, and this one's really quite nice. Yeah, it can't attack unless we control 4 more artifacts. Not too worried about that side of it, but at the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each non-token creature that died this turn. Yay, like that plan. Oltec Matterweather casts creature spell, we get the gnome tokens. And Professional Facebreaker gives us treasures, so we like this plan. Rosie Cotton of South Lane gives us a food token itself when she comes into play, and whenever you create a token, you may put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie, so it makes your things bigger quickly. The Gaffer, if we gain some life, we draw some cards. We draw a card, especially at the beginning of each end step, so very nice, thank you. Zorn doubles up, well, gives an extra treasure every time we have a treasure come into play. And Apothecary White from the Clue set. Whenever you attack, create a food token for each player being attacked. So, yeah, there's your ammunition. Beezer, the Bounding Spring, is just here so we can gain some life, get some fish tokens, draw a card, get a treasure token if we're behind. And Mondrak. Yeah, I had to have Mondrak here, just double up on our token production. Mariel's Shield of the Archive, when it attacks, means that we have colourless soldier artifact tokens come into play. Admittedly, it'll only be one to start with, as long as we keep Mariel around, but then we start getting more. Oscar, the Reconstructor, is also in. We can sacrifice an artifact to give a creature +2/+0 until the end of turn. Or we can exile an artifact card with mana value X from our graveyard and create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card, which does have some upside, I have to say. Rose Room Treasurer gives us treasures, and then if we get this to go off for a third time, we can pay X, and then Rose Room Treasurer deals X damage to any target we choose. Solemn Sim just does the whole land, card draw, and something else we can sacrifice for food if we need to. Bonehoard Dracosaur gives us hopefully a treasure and a dinosaur every turn at least. And the Gold Lust Triad. Yep, more treasure tokens. We like this dragon. It turns up in a lot of my decks now. I'm aware of it alongside Goldspan Dragon. Sorry. Illustrious Wanderglyph is a bit more fun though. Other artifact creatures you control get +2/+2 as long as we have the City's Blessing, which we should do. But at the beginning of each upkeep, we get a colourless gnome artifact creature token. Which is nice if we've got Ragost tapped and one of our life gain creatures in play. Untaps. Yep, we'll go with that. That's fine. From there, Platoon Dispenser. When we've got some white mana kicking around, we get to create some more soldier artifact creature tokens. And then as long as we control 2 more other cards, we get to draw a card at the beginning of our end step. Nice. Ancient Copper Dragon, no-brainer for this deck, along with Mere Battlesphere, just because it's another one that produces 5 food tokens when you pay 7 mana. Sorceries, late to dinner, so we can return things from our graveyard to the battlefield and then create a food token. Wrath of God and Blasphemous Act give us a bit of control. Targeted control will path to exile Souls to Plowshares. And then a whole load of artifacts. Elixir of Immortality, because, well, yeah, things go wrong. We need to reshuffle everything into our library from our graveyard. Retrofitter Foundry gives us servo tokens for 2 mana. Soul Ring Ramps, Arcane Signet Ramps. Ichor Wellspring lets us just draw a card, or we can sack it off as a food and get another card draw when it happens. Instant Ramen from Final Fantasy comes into play. We draw a card, we can sacrifice it to gain 3. Same with Lembas from Lord of the Rings. But when this is put in the graveyard from the battlefield, we get to shuffle it back into our library, so it's a little bit better than the Instant Ramen. Pearl Medallion, Ruby Medallion for the ramp. Nuka-Cola Vending Machine, no-brainer to make the food token and sacrifice food, we get treasures. That's cool. The Crystals, the Fire to give everything haste and cut the cost of the red spells down. The Wind to cut the cost of the white spell downs and gain double our life. Transmutation Font as well as in to give us the blood token, the clue token, or the food token, and then we can sacrifice 3 artifacts to go and find another artifact, which is basically going to be Portal to Phyrexia when we get there, so we can go and basically take care of all the annoying creatures on the board. From there, we have a few enchantments that help us gain some life, so Ajani's welcome, Cleric class. Guild Artisan's quite nice. Whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, you create 2 tokens. So yeah, if you've got someone in Commander who hasn't got a creature out and you can get it for 2 of Ragost, fair play. Descent into Avarice is a weird one. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get to put 2 descent counters on here. Then each player creates X treasure tokens, and the descent deals X damage to each player where X is the number of descent counters on it. Now, hopefully, you'll have buffed your life total up and you won't be dying to this. I have died to this card where I've had it in play and I've died to it myself because I haven't gained enough life. But a lot of the time, I have managed to survive with the life gain I've been getting, so it's all good from that point of view. Monologue Tax to give us that extra treasure token when everyone casts their second spell, which happens quite often, as you can imagine, in Commander. Leyline of Hope doubles up our life, gives an extra, sorry, it doesn't double up, it gives an extra 1 life every time we gain life. And then the game changer in the deck, Smothering Tide, had to be here just so we can get the treasures on the go. The last card, which is quite good fun, is Nahiri's Resolve. At the beginning of your end step, gives all our creatures +1/+0 and haste to start with. But at the beginning of our end step, we exile any number of non-token artifacts and or creatures we control, then they come back into play. Sound like a plan to me. 35 lands in this deck because none of the stuff's that expensive to cast outside of the Portal and the Nahiri's Resolve. Everything tops out about 4. So all of the red and white lands you can imagine in here, including Ancient Den and the Foundry, wherever it is, Great Furnace, there you go. 10 mountains, 10 plains, a load of other bits and pieces, and that's it. that's my take on our wonderful Ragost for today. As I said, I've done this one quickly to fit it in before I go off on holiday, so I wanted to cover this before I vanished. The rest of the videos this week will be ones I've already pre-recorded, so sorry for that. But hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Help me out. Help me build the YouTube algorithm. Let me know in the comments anything I've missed out. I'll still keep an eye on the comments while I'm on holiday and trying to respond to them when I can. But thanks, and I'll be back, well, tomorrow with some of the other ones I've pre-recorded, but next week we'll carry on hitting into the edge of eternities. But for now, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you very soon. Have a good one. Bye bye.